Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. If it is your first time here, welcome. Before I start anything to do with this video today, I would like to say thank you very much for the interactions on last video, but so too I would like to say that video was absolutely crazy. Now, in no way am I trying to play the victim card here. I'm a YouTuber and I'm subject to anything said online. Last video in particular brought a lot of negativity to the comments and whatnot, even the Discord, so I think I'll stray away from that from now on and stick to this. But I'm happy that a lot of you found it to be very good and it was quite well received from people in my community. Anyways, speaking of my community, we have a community Discord that has been growing and I've been updating every single day such that it gets better. If you guys are interested in joining and speaking about things Witcher and such, make sure to click the link in the description and that'll take you straight there. And lastly, we are trying to hit 1,000 subscribers on the channel by the end of 2024, so if you could help me out with that, it would be greatly appreciated. Now, with all that being said and done, let's get into the topic of today's video, which I'm very excited to talk about. The topic being the top 5 hardest bosses in The Witcher 3, as the title may suggest. So let's come out swinging here and let's get into the 5th spot on our list. The 5th spot, we have the Caretaker. The Caretaker, in my opinion, is the most Souls-like boss in The Witcher 3, and arguably my favorite boss, and honestly, not even arguably actually, I don't even think it's close. I think Caretaker is my favorite boss. The Caretaker's moveset is so utterly unique and so fun to fight. It doesn't at one point feel unfair except for his gimmicky heal thing that he does when he destroys his wraiths. But even as such, his movements are very readable and he isn't super fast and he doesn't have super broken moves. Even on Death March, he doesn't necessarily do a stupid amount of damage to you, it's just regular, he doesn't one-shot you or anything as such. It's a great fight. I do wish, however, although I don't think I tried it too much, that you could deflect him. Although I believe this may make the boss fight rather trivial, as it would obviously make it a lot easier if you could deflect every single one of his blows, rather than just dodging them correctly. Caretaker, although it's unrelated to the difficulty of the boss per se, has one of the coolest designs in the game too, in my opinion. Also, the lore is very interesting. There's a lot of very cool videos, and I may even make one myself of how this being came to be, and why he's there. But to conclude the Caretaker section, I just think he's number 5 due to the fact that he's very unique, very different. He catches you off guard quite a lot and he keeps you on your toes. On the contrary, we have a very unfair boss next who is not very fun in my opinion, and that is the Toad Prince in the number 4 spot. Lots of people may disagree with this, but I just don't think that he deserves a 1, 2, or 3 placement on this list. He's got a very large HP pool and a really basic moveset, all things considered. So I will say it's a very long and tedious fight, however it is easy once you get into that groove. Probably the most boring fight in the game, I will say, but it leads into one of the coolest moments ever, which is the O'Ferry ship with Gaunter O'Dim, and if you don't know about that, I recommend you look it up. One of the coolest cutscenes ever, and if you already know about it, you are blessed, my friend. He's above Caretaker simply for the HP part and annoying spammy moves. Caretaker is overall more fair and more fun, hence why he's lower on difficulty. He can be made easy if you have bombs for the gas, as it makes it ignite and it does crazy damage, but the gas can of course cause issues for you as it restricts your movement and will do damage to you if you remain in it for too long. He's very mid boss in my opinion, and he has an annoying moveset, so he deserves a number 4 spot for that, but nowhere near 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. Signing off of the Toad Prince here, it's the last time I ever want to talk about him. I don't know what CDPR we're doing with this boss, I just think he really sucks. Speaking of things that suck, for our 3rd spot we have the Beast of Beauclair himself, Dettlaff. And I don't mean he sucks because he is a bad boss, I mean he sucks because he's a vampire. I think 3rd is suitable here because he's the right mix of fair and challenging, unlike the Caretaker who's more fair than he is challenging, I think. Dettlaff has one move in particular in his 2nd phase, which is his Batwave move that he shoots forward. I believe this has one-shot potential and is incredibly hard to dodge if you don't know how, of course. And honestly, to learn how, it's a little difficult. For me, I decided to run left or right and it didn't hit me. The boss has 3 phases, I forgot to mention. First phase is the Dettlaff you're seeing on screen currently, normal higher vampire Dettlaff. 2nd phase, he goes into his true form, and 3rd phase, he takes you into his like blood realm, and you have to pop little vessels to make him die. He's basically trying to regenerate after you give him the ass whooping of his life. The 3rd phase just consists of avoiding him and breaking the bulbs of blood to kill him. Not really any new moves, probably the 2nd easiest phase, with the 1st being the easiest and the 2nd being the hardest. I think he's hard, but not the hardest because he is definitely a fair boss, unlike the next 2 on this list. Unlike the previous boss, higher vampire Dettlaff, we have Olgierd here, who is just a mere man. That is what you would think upon first glance. In reality, Olgierd is immortal. Olgierd gives you absolutely absolutely no time to breathe in this fight. He is constantly on you and pressuring you, and yes, you can parry him, but some moves you cannot parry. A lot of his moves do devastating damage, especially his red blade ones, and if you don't dodge them, you are probably gonna die. He has relentless combos with little to no punish windows whatsoever, and as I said before, it does so much damage. His health pool is utterly insane. This might have just been my playthrough, I'm not sure what other people experienced, but when I fought him, his health pool was massive. Olgierd, unlike the previous fighters who have quite calculated combos, fights very chaotically and he's very fast. The scenery is also quite chaotic too, which can throw you off, but I really have nothing else to say about Olgierd other than that. He's just an incredibly hard boss unless you get the parry timings down, in which case you have a lot of punish windows because he gets stunned. A lot of players may have issues with this, however, because it can be quite unpredictable when he goes into his shadows, but yes, if you can parry him, this boss becomes rather trivial. Now, finally, what you guys have all been waiting for, my number one spot. Let's get straight into it. Let's stir the pot and get controversial. I would like to preface this by saying this is relatively gimmicky, and there is a way to make this boss go from top 1 to maybe top 10. But the way I did it, and the way a lot of other people had to do it, it's definitely the hardest boss in the game. And if you couldn't tell who I'm talking about by now, it is the most gimmicky, ganky jump fight in the game, Iris's greatest fear. Iris's greatest fear is just Olgierd, but there's like 20 of them at once. And you're gonna say, bdon, hold on, at once? Yes. Literally, if you use a 360R build or any build that activates them with spells or signs, it's going to activate them all at once. And I thought, and a lot of other players thought, this is how you are intended to do the fight. I believe it's also an achievement to do it. Now, with that being said, on Death March and enemy upscaling, this is absolutely ridiculous. You are constantly getting your ass kicked by 10 shadows at once. They can all lunge at you if you get too far away, and you need to hit and run and hit and run. The best way to do this is to keep a mediocre distance and spam signs, but I did not do that, and I was using sword only for my whole playthrough. Again, this entire list is my opinion, and it's subjective. I played sword only for the most part with a little bit of ARD, and this was the hardest fight with no question. No fight in the entire Witcher franchise challenged me such as this. Due to my build, it made it a lot harder, and a lot of people probably found it a lot easier, especially since they probably didn't activate them all at once. But a crazy sign or alchemy build would utterly decimate these guys, even all at once. Anyways, this is absolutely the hardest fight for the way that I experienced it, and I don't think there's a question, given the context that I gave, that this is the hardest fight. Well, I absolutely know there's somebody right now who's like rubbing his toes or something and saying, I fought Iris's Nightmare one at a time, so it was really... Dude, okay, whatever, man. Gunnar O'Dim's the hardest boss then, because you can't even kill him. Are you happy?